Hello class, welcome to this presentation on gear trains part 1. In this presentation we will see different types of gear trains and how the velocity ratio in each of the gear train is calculated. Let us start. Gear trains are mainly meant for transmitting the power as well as motion from one shaft to the other shaft, and when such a combination of gears is made, it is called as gear train or train of toothed wheels. Students, already we have seen that the power and the motion can be transmitted by using a belt drive, a chain drive also, and this is another mode of transmission of power and motion by a toothed wheel. And when two toothed wheels are meshed with each other for the purpose of transmission of power and motion, such a combination is called as gear train or train of toothed wheels. The nature of the train used depends upon the velocity ratio required and the relative position of the axis of the shafts. A gear train may consist of spur, bevel or spiral gears. Now there are four types of gear trains. Number 1, the simple gear train. Number 2, the compound gear train. Number 3, reverted gear train, and 4th is the epicyclic gear train. In first three types of gear trains, the axis of the shafts over which the gears are mounted are fixed relative to each other. But whereas in the fourth case, that is in the case of epicyclic gear trains, the axis of the shafts on which the gears are mounted may move relative to a fixed axis. Now let us discuss about the first type of gear train called as simple gear train. Now what a simple gear train means? When there is only one gear on each shaft, this is one shaft and this is another shaft, and there is only one gear mounted on this shaft, and also here only one gear is mounted on this shaft, and these two gears are meshing with each other for the purpose of transmitting the power and motion. So hence, when there is only one gear on each shaft as shown in this figure, it is known as simple gear train. Now when the distance between the two shafts is small, the two gears 1 and 2 are made to mesh with each other to transmit motion from one shaft to the other. Now if N1 is the speed of the gear, this member also called as driver, and N2 is the speed of the driven or follower or gear 2, this member, and T1 is the number of teeth on gear 1 and T2 is the number of teeth on gear 2, then the speed ratio is given by the ratio of speed of driver to driven, that is gear 1 to gear 2, speed of gear 1 to speed of gear 2 equal to number of teeth on the follower or driven divided by number of teeth on the driver. And train value is defined as the inverse of speed ratio. That means N2 by N1 equal to T1 by T2. T2 by T1 speed ratio, T1 by T2 train value. So the train value is the reciprocal of the speed ratio or velocity ratio. Now here only two gears are there for the transmission of the motion. Now here in this case the arrangement is slightly different, and an intermediate gear is used between the driver and the driven in the simple gear train. So when this is used, when there is only one gear on each shaft, okay, and the power is to be transmitted over a large distance. In that case, an intermediate gear is used. So if the distance between the two gears is large, then the motion from one gear to another in such a case may be transmitted either by providing the large sized gears or by providing one or more intermediate gears like this. Now, the problem with using large sized gears is inconvenient. The gear train is inconvenient and it is uneconomical, because if you increase the size of the gears, the cost increases and hence it becomes uneconomical. But whereas the second method, where the intermediate gears may be one or more in number, is a convenient and economical method of transmitting the power over a considerable amount of distance. Now in this particular figure, one intermediate gear is used. One means it is odd in number. Then the motion of the both the gears, that is driver and the driven, they are in the same sense, means they rotate in the same direction when only one intermediate gear is used. Now the velocity ratio for a simple gear train when an intermediate gear is used, as usual, let N1, N2, N3 be the speed of the driver, wheel, intermediate gear and the driven wheel, and also T1, T2, T3 be the number of teeth on the driver, intermediate gear and the driven. Now, the speed ratio between gear 1 and 2. Gear 1 is the driver, 2 is the driven when you take these two together. So hence, ratio of N1 by N2 equal to T2 by T1. Similarly, when you take gears 2 and 3, this is driver for this. This is driver and this is driven. So, driver speed divided by driven speed, N2 by N3 equal to T3 by T2. Now, multiplying these two equations here, N1 by N2 into N2 by N3 equal to T2 by T1 into T3 by T2. So, N2 cancel and T2 cancel. Hence, finally for this arrangement you will get the speed ratio or the velocity ratio as N1 by N3. N1 speed of driver divided by speed of the driven equal to number of teeth on the driven divided by number of teeth on the driver. So speed ratio equal to speed of driver divided by speed of driven. Now let us say there are two intermediate gears between the driver and the driven, means there are even number of gears. Now in this case, what is the velocity ratio or the speed ratio? Now when you take 1 and 2, this is the speed ratio, and when you take 2 and 3, this is the speed ratio, and when you take 3 and 4, this is the speed ratio, and it must be equal to corresponding number of teeth on that is T2 by T1, T3 by T2 and T4 by T3. So finally you get N1 by N4 equal to T4 by T1. Speed of the driver, gear 1, speed of the driven, gear 4, equal to number of teeth on the driven, that is follower or gear number 4, divided by number of teeth on the driver or gear number 1. So hence, for this simple gear train where two intermediate gears are used, the speed ratio is speed of driver divided by speed of driven. So the conclusion is the speed ratio and the train value in a simple train of gears is independent of the size and number of intermediate gears. So that means these intermediate gears in a simple gear train doesn't affect the velocity ratio. This already you have seen. Now, second type of gear train called as compound gear train. When there are more than one gear on a shaft, as shown in this figure, it is called a compound train of gear. For example, this is shaft B. On this shaft B, two gears are mounted, number 2 and number 3. Similarly, on this shaft C, two gears are mounted, 4 and 5. So when there are more than one gear mounted on a shaft, such a gear train is called as compound gear train. Means here 2 and 3 form a compound gear, and 4 and 5 form a compound gear, and when this entire gear train consists of compound gear here, compound gear here, so whole gear train is called as compound gear train. Now when this is used and where it is used? Whenever the distance between the driver and the driven has to be bridged by intermediate gears, and at the same time a larger or much smaller velocity ratio sometimes or speed ratio is required, then the use of compound gears on intermediate shafts is a preferred solution. So this type of arrangement will help us to get either larger velocity ratios or smaller velocity ratios. In this case, each intermediate shaft has two gears rigidly fixed to it so that they may have the same speed. For example, 2 and 3 are mounted on this shaft B, so whatever the speed with which 2 rotates, 3 also rotates at the same speed as that of 2. Similarly, speed of 4 and speed of 5 will be same because they are mounted on the same shaft. So one of these two gears meshes with the driver and the other with the driven or follower attached to the next shaft as shown in this figure. So this is the driver, this is driven. So 3 is mounted on the same shaft, this becomes driver and this becomes driven, and 5 is mounted on this shaft, this is driver and this is the driven. Now this is the compound gear, so 2 gears are mounted on the same shaft. So point to be noted here is the gears which mesh must have the same circular pitch or module. So already in the introductory part of this theory part you know what is module and what is circular pitch. Means all the gears must have the same module or circular pitch. Now what is the velocity ratio or speed ratio in case of a compound gear train? Now in this compound gear train, gear 1 is the driving gear mounted on shaft A. Gear 2 and 3 are compound gears which are mounted on shaft B. Gear 2, gear 3 mounted on shaft B, and 4 and 5 compound gears mounted on shaft C. Finally, the gear number 6 is mounted on the shaft D. So gear number 6 is the driven gear, output gear. Now let N1 be the speed of the driving gear, that is this one. T2 be the number of the T1 be the number of teeth on the driving gear, this one. And similarly N2, N3, N4, N5, N6 be the speed of gear 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and also T2, T3, T4, T5, T6 be the number of teeth on the gears 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now since gear 1 is in mesh with gear 2, gear 1 is in mesh with gear 2, hence the speed ratio is speed of the driver, that is gear number 1, divided by speed of the driven, gear number 2, N1 by N2 equal to T2 by T1. Let this equation 1. Similarly, gear 3, 2 and 3 will rotate at the same speed, N2 equal to N3. So speed ratio between 3 and 4, N3 by N4 equal to T4 by T3. Similarly, the speed ratio between 5 and 6 is N5 by N6 equal to T6 by T5. Now multiplying all three equations, what you get is N1 by N2 into N3 by N4 into N5 by N6 equal to T2 by T1 into T4 by T3 into T5 by T5, T6 by T5. So you can see that in this equation the velocity ratio for this particular compound gear train N1 by N6 will be equal to T2 into T4 into T6 divided by T1 into T3 into T5. Now here, as you know, speed of gear 2 and speed of gear 3 are same, that is N2 equal to N3, N2 equal to N3, so these will cancel. Similarly, 4 and 5, they are mounted on the same shaft. So N4 equal to N5, N4 equal to N5, this will cancel. Finally, you get N1 by N6. So finally, the speed ratio of this compound gear train is speed of the first driver, this one, divided by speed of this driven, equal to product of number of teeth on the drivens, T2, T4, T6. These are the driven wheels, and divided by product of number of teeth on the drivers. Gear 1, gear 3, gear 5 are the driving wheels for 2, 4, 6. So hence, speed ratio in case of compound gear train is speed of the first driver divided by speed of the last gear, that is driven of the follower, will be equal to product of number of teeth on the driven wheels divided by product of the number of teeth on the driving wheels. So for gear 2, gear 1 is the driven, 2 is the follower, for 4, 3 is the driver, for 6, 5 is the driver. So that's all in this presentation. In the second part of gear train, we will see remaining 2 types of gear trains. Thank you so much.